Now, once that disease can pass that through that process, we will call it a healthy seed, and which is in turn will give you a healthy plant. Then also we are looking at the germination. The germination, different types of seed have different range of germination standard. In lettuce, and beetroot, I can look at the germination percentage can be low as 75-80. But in terms of pepper and tomato, I'm expecting the germination should be not less than 85-90 and above. Are we together? Then most of the company, in their legitimate company, they can only tell you the minimum, not maximum. Hello? Meaning that if I said my germination percentage of my seed is 80%, meaning the least I can ever get is 80%, not reverse the case. Do we understand? But in all farm safe seed and the local produce seed, you cannot get that characters, or you cannot be able to achieve that. So any seed before being imported, before being sold out, now you have to be checked upon all those kind of character. Anyone below the character, it have to be what? Reverse back. So having that quality seed or good certified seed, you can be able to what? Be reliable and guarantee, yes, that my seed can be able to give me what I want. Now, I want us to look at some of the parameters that we are looking. When we are talking about the germination, you need to test the seed before going into the farming. Are we together? Now, this is a simple way you can test that your seed. There are 3 reasons for you, or the kind of seed that you need to test. 1, if you have a farm safe seed, you can test it to know whether that seed can germinate or not. Because if you mistakenly take it to the farm and plant it doesn't germinate, you have many losses. 1, the time has gone. 2nd, you must have lost. 3rd, maybe you have used labor and spent your money and finished all the plants, and then you see none of the seed have germinated. You are the one at lost. Are we together? So because of that, you need to test the seed. Then also, if you have opened your seed for long, maybe you have carried, maybe it's 1,000, say I only carry 500 or 300. Then you keep it inside your, fridge. Maybe you decided to put it under your bed or anywhere you keep it. Then you want to replant it. Please, before you go into the farming, test that seed to be sure whether seed is still viable or whether seed can still germinate. Otherwise, you can still have that loss after cultivating the place, call the labor, do the work, and spend your time. After 1 week or 2 weeks, none of the seed have germinated. You are the one at lost. And your age may have already gone. Do we understand? Then sometimes, once you get your seed, even though you do not open the seed, but you kept that seed for long. Hey, I want to plant it tomorrow. Peradventure or something happened, I'm not praying for it. Oh, you lost your uncle, or that your grandfather, you go for burial. Before you come back 3 weeks fast. Maybe 1 month, I come back 2 months, or you be like, say the money no day. You already put the seed and keep it. When you keep that seed for long, to be very sure whether that seed is still that viable, please don't commit yourself. Go and do a germination test. Hello? So because of these 3 reasons, I'm suggesting that once you get the seed, in that condition or 3 conditions, farm safe seed, you open the seed and use it. You want to use the remaining again, or you have kept the seed for long. These 3 reasons, if you found any of them, you can do the germination test. The germination test is just simple. All you need to do, you get a petri dish. If this one is too expensive, we have a transparent, these small rubbers. I think many of us are going to this shop right. Oh, they are buying paper, granted one. You see the rubber is very transparent. Hello? Hello? Once you get it, provided it has a cover, you can use it. Get your tissue or tissue paper. Once you get that tissue paper, put it. You can cut the paper and put it. Then the next thing, just select out of that your seeds. You can take maybe, depending on the quantity of the seed. If the seed, the total maybe is 100, you can decide to commit 20. Let me test 20 or using 10. But if that seed are 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, I recommend to you use either 50 to 100. Pick those seeds, count them. After you counted the seed, now get your water bottle. Now you can wet the seed, the tissue paper. I believe everybody is seeing. So please, if you are putting the water, please don't overput the water. When you put the water will just be pouring like this. Otherwise, when you put the seed, you suffocate the seed. Hello? So that doesn't mean that when you put the seed have to be overflooding. No, we are not doing flooding in physics. So just carry your seed. So all you need to do, count that seed, or the seed that you have counted, just put them. But make sure you put them separate. Can we be able to see from my screen here? Hello? You see the seed individually, separated, not that one seed on top of the other. Hello? Once you do that, you come and cover it. Ensure that the seed has been covered. And it should not be airtight, or maybe if the plate or the rubber has a, what do you call it, the thread, you tied it, that there's no source of air. No, please don't do that. Once you get the cover, just cover it, just to reduce the rate of what? Evaporation. Any seed that is viable, starting from 4 days, in fact some seeds as early as 2 days, like my friend cucumber. If you use cucumber, at the rate of 2 days, you see something's coming up. One, the seed will swell up. At the head of the seed, you see something has started coming up like root. Some, they take up to 4 days. Some, they may take 7 days. Some, up to at 10 days, most of the seed, they will show a sign of germination. Hello? Once they start germinating, you can you see a white something? Hello? This place is not a permanent place that you can keep those seeds for long. Once they show this sign, they are bringing the root, meaning that those seeds are viable. The next thing is, maybe when you keep them long, then you see that all of them, they are just trying to bring out the root and the future stem. You are done with that. You are sure that the next thing, you calculate the percentage. Now, for instance, you have put 100 seeds, and you discover it's only 40 that germinate. Hello? That germination percentage is very low. And even if you raise them in the nursery, we don't recommend that one. But when you get the germination, anything around 70, I can say it's manageable, but it's not too good enough. But once you get the germination above 85%, 90%, you are good to go, you can raise your nursery. But it means that you have to adjust the number of seeds that you're going to use. Maybe the field is taking 1,000 seeds. You have 1,000 seeds here, and the germination percentage is 80. You have to add extra seeds for you to make up that 1,000 seeds. Do we understand that? In fact, even if all of them have germinated, even were you, I'll put 120, not 1,020, 1,200. Because after they germinate all of them, there's maybe a likelihood not all of them will survive from the nursery, true or false. There's high percentage when you transplant them, no matter how 1 or 2 might die. So if you doesn't have extra seed to put, meaning that you be shortcut it, or maybe you might not get the total yield that you are expecting. Now, the disease resistance, it has been categorized into 3. The first one will normally indicate to be either by HR, meaning that high resistance. The plant or the disease can be in that particular place, but it might not affect or might not infect your plant. Hello? Now, we have another one we call it intermediate resistance. Yes, for the first year that when you plant it, the disease might not affect your plant. The second year when you plant, maybe one plant might die because of that disease. The third year you still repeat it, there may likelihood of getting 7 of them or 10 of them that are dying. Meaning that it can tolerate to some extent, but when you continue cropping particular plant at some particular stage, a lot of things happens. Even the disease can mutate and just change to another form, then they can come back and affect your plant. So most of the tolerant disease we advise, after doing it the first year, the second season, please intercrop or change the crop to another one so that you can enhance that particular plant. The same thing that particular day, the one that is intermediate resistant, you plant and remove the seed and go and replant it. I'm not assuring you to resist it again. No? Hello? Did we understand what I'm talking about? This is the tomato resist the disease or intermediate resistant. Now this year no one has been affected. Oh, you are jumping. My neighbors, their own is dying, my own is okay. Quality seed. Oh, guy, the seed are expensive. Oh. Solokad is just a jump the money like he don't even know what in the happen. Now he said, let me just remove the seed. Once you get the seed, it becomes second generation. There may be possibility that resistance might no longer be there. Please go back to the market and get the fresh one. That's my advice. Then there's another one who say, well, successful, meaning it can be infected by that disease. So mostly the hybrid seeds are either high resistant, intermediate resistant. That is the one that we recommended. Anyone that can be susceptible to it, at times in the hybrid seed, we don't bring it into the market. Yes, the OP varieties versus hybrid varieties, we say what susceptible versus what resistant, meaning that this one can be able to withstand the disease or can tolerate disease where the other one cannot. Then we say resistant to a disease does not mean that the disease cannot infect the crops. I think that's what I just explained. Very high disease pressure, new trends, meaning all new races. If the infestation or the population of that pathogen that's causing the disease is high in population in number, there may be possibility we can get some of the infection. Hello? I don't know whether we are getting, maybe I can just bring a one giant person, keep it inside this room. If we are 10 of us, the guy can finish us. But I bet you if you are up to 100, we can deal with that guy, 2 of us. Hello? There's one adage in Hausa, they say, Sarkin yawa ya fi sarkin karfi. Meaning, the person, the strength of the giant is not as, how should I put it? The number of the population is higher than the strength of the person. Meaning that if they are plenty in number, no matter how strong he is, they can bring that person down. Hello? So that means what I'm saying is if the population or the intensity of the infection is very high, there are possibilities, even if they declare the disease resistant, you must see a patches. But it will not be as the one that doesn't have any resistivity. Then the races are already explained. If it's a different races that's causing, or different strands are causing the disease, the same thing if it's a bacterial disease. This one bacteria will resistance, but different strands of that bacteria can more likely affect that plant. Now we are going to the packaging. The packaging can be in the categories. Some will package them in sachet, some will package them in tin, and some will use the nylon also package them. But the major things that we are looking at here is the information concerning those seeds. Hello? Hello? I don't know whether people at the back can see. A good quality seed, first, if you are checking, you have to see the batch number. Any seed that doesn't have a batch number means that seed has not been registered. Forget about the labeling, forget about the color they use, forget about the attraction, meaning that it has not been legally registered. So if it has not been legally registered, why? Meaning there's a question mark. Hello? Now the second thing is you have to look at what the purity. How pure is that disease? That seed. The purity, mostly we are putting it in line with the germination. Now you see it, minimum germination / PU, purity. Are we together? Now meaning that the minimum germination, the germination is the first number or numeric number, which is 85%. Then the purity is getting to 99%. The only thing is my guy is here. No seed we can ensure you 99% germination because nothing is complete. at least there must be a question or whatever. There might be something that chances that can happen to that. Now, the packaging also, can you be able to see here?
Basically the same information.
So almost the same information. So what, then you have to look at the expiring date and the tested or production date in every seed that is of quality of good standard. Now, if there's no expiring date and then there's no, seed has life. So even human may have expiring date. I don't know whether you know. Hello? I hope you know human being have expiring date. But I'm not going to tell you your own. But the seed that we know has life and has expiring date. So it tells you that that expiring date, the viability by that time must have gone down. Don't say, oh, this one expired, I planted. Hundreds of them have germinated. It's by chance. Meaning that it cannot be guaranteed. Hello? And depend on how you handle it. Yes, the batch number is always 1, please. When you see do batch number, meaning that when I say there are customers, something must have gone wrong. Please verify that from the source of the seed.
They should always keep the pack with the original number. If there is a complaint afterwards, that you know the numbers, etc.
Thank you. After using your seed, please, it's important to keep the. If you cannot pile it up, why can't you make a, let me like a register? This is the seed, this is it. But we as a seed company, we like to get the exact particular batch number and the date of production. All these things we can be able to access the information. Hello? So please, it's very important. Yes, the storage. Seeds should be stored under good condition. One of the good condition must, the place must be dry and cool. Are we together? The second one will say what? Based on the rule of thumb, if you are looking about the storage place, the temperature and the humidity, the volume of water in the air, that's the humidity. When you put the two of them, they should be less than 100 Fahrenheit. Many of us we are used to centigrade.
Yeah, but that means that if you have a relative humidity of 60%, which is quite normal here, the Fahrenheit temperature can only be 40, and that's almost 0 on Celsius. So that means that when the humidity is very high, the temperature for storage should be very low. Yeah? So that means special conditions.
Do we understand the retail calculation? So at least all of them, they should not be more than 100. It's the same thing as what? 0 centigrade. Am I correct? So the 100 Fahrenheit is the same thing as what? 0 centigrade.
About 5 degrees centigrade or something.
Okay, 5 degrees centigrade. That's some of the differences. Now, the next thing is some of the seed prefer temperature to be lower than that. My neighbor, lettuce, always like the temperature to be very cold. Meaning that at least you have to keep it in the low cold temperature. Don't take to be guaranteed. Oh, I keep my pepper seed on top of my desk or under my locker, nothing happened to it. When you carry lettuce, keep it in the same place, you might get different results. Hello? The lettuce seed are one of the fragile seeds that we have. For now, it can easily be affected by the temperature changes. So please have to be very careful what kind of seed and the storage places where we are keeping them. Please don't go and keep your seed because you want to go and put it inside freezer. There's a fridge and freezer. Am I correct, Gabriel? Please, when you put it inside the freezer, the seed will very cake and dry up. At the end of the day, there's possibility you cannot even get the germination. Even if you are going to get the germination, most of our experience, we get to know that if the seed is supposed to germinate at 2 days, you end up getting it in 5 days. If he's the kind of person that can easily give up like me, after 5 days, this seed could not germinate, I have to throw it away. After you throw it away, you look at the dustbin, then you see some seed that are germinating. Now, wow, after you finish all the complaints, so look at that seed is not germinating at all. But when you see the one that germinated, you don't come back and tell Solokad, when I throw it inside dustbin, that seed have germinated again. You don't go tell them. But you are asking for replacement. So there's a lot of danger when you put your seed inside freezer. You can put it inside fridge, down, not the freezer. Hello? Please, you have to be very careful in that. They will say seed should be handled with care. Do not drop back when unloading a truck. There are some seeds that are very heavy. You know, these are our labor guys. I think Blessing is still close to us. They'll just be throwing in. Whoop, the cutter, whap. Based on, yes, thank you. This is my friend. You know, Savi go now. I think you make action that you can pick it up. So what I'm saying is this one has weight. Once you throw it above 1 high meter, based on the research, it shows that there's possibility you can lose up to 50% germination, or the viability you lost it. Meaning that when I draw it now, it fall back, fall on the ground just above 1 meter, the percentage loss of germination is almost up to 10. Do you know the reason? It's not magic. Once it's fall, there's a lot of them will crack. This is beans. So when it cracks, it gives more chances to fungal or bacterial infection to get into the seed. Do we understand? So once the air or the fungal or any bacteria get to that seed, there may be possibility to keep the seed in that good condition, whatever, but they already crack and they're inside there. They'll be eating. It's just like, hey, let me lock my door. A thief is inside your room. You lock it and the thief is inside. What do you think will happen? You continue to steal. So the same thing when you carry your seed, after you have been destroyed the seed, then you go and put it inside fridge, thinking that you are keeping the seed safe. You have already damaged it before keeping it. So please be very careful with it. Hello? So please, we don't expect any seed to be thrown around. Yes, what she's adding that some of us will have some cars or car. For me not to forget I'm going to the farm, let me put it on the dashboard so that where I can see it. Two of us. We know the do. Let me keep it under where I can see it. Let me not forget. Let me not forget. That seed you are keeping there, you are killing the seed. I wish you are around Kano. The temperature is around 40, 50. But that time when you come back, the seed has been already cooked. Just for you to put oil and start eating. But you are planting it. Sorry for you. Please don't keep that your seed. Inside on the top of your dashboard, or they call you one pigeon hole in the car. Please don't keep it there. It's not pigeon. Hello? So I'm just putting the narrative, please. Don't keep that seed in those places. Because the temperature gets above normal and it affects the seed in that direction. Then we said, I think I'm done with this. Yep. Yeah, then some of the seed I earlier told you, we put them direct in the ground, and some we have to raise nursery. Some of the seed that we can be able to raise the nursery, we have beans, e.g. So this one you don't need to raise nursery. But that doesn't mean if you raise the nursery, you cannot germinate. But at the end of the business, what is the economic benefit of it? Is equal to 0. So based on their size, you can plant them direct. We also have the sweet corn, beetroot, carrot, and the rest of them you can be able to put them direct, meaning that you don't need to raise nursery. But traditionally, crops like cucumber, melon, watermelon, squash, meaning pumpkin. What in the color in the Yoruba? Pumpkin, what do we call it in Yoruba? Elegede. At least I learn one language. So elegede, please, you can traditionally you can be able to raise nursery, but you can also put them direct. Then we say what? Traditional direct drilling crops, always 2 to 3 seed per hole. Meaning that when you are planting them direct, you are required to put more than 1 seed inside the hole. The chances is ants or another something can eat one of the plant. Hello? Then the condition can be favorable or some of them cannot be favorable to them. There's chances of losing the seed. That's why we recommend to use 2 seeds per hole. Now, let us look at the disadvantage. Now we said 2 to 3 times more seed use than for transplanting. Meaning that if you are putting the seed, maybe you are putting 2 seeds. Instead of the farm that is supposed to use 1 sachet or 1,000 seeds, if you are using 2, you have to use 2 of this. But if you are using transplanting or nursery, you need 1 pack. But if you are using direct seeding, you have to use 2 packs. because they are using 2 of the seed based on their land area. Do we understand the arithmetic? So likewise, the cost has to be double or triple instead of what? Once. Hello? So the quantity of seed that you consume or you use inside there in your farm, the cost have to be increased. Yep. Then we said there's what? Less uniformity. Meaning that the plant will not grow at the same time because there's a lot of variation in the soil. Hello? Some places can be up, some places can be low, some places have nutrients, some places can have more moisture than the other. So because of that variation, the seed will never be uniform. There were high risks about pests and diseases or infestations. This ant and whatever, maybe neighbor has what in the color, this what in the color, this chicken, termite or domestic fowl, whatever, all of them, they can be able to triple on it. Please don't have problem with your neighbor. Go and raise the nursery, yeah? So that at least you can be safe. Then also less efficiency. Land use efficiency is very low. And what we are trying to say here is the seed that we require to cover the whole of this place. Hello? We can raise it in one nursery. But when you are using the whole of that place, then you see that you have consumed a lot of space instead of using small space. Do we understand that? In line with that, if you want to water it, you have to carry your watering can, be following every step. I think one bucket cannot water this effectively. But if you are using the, what do you call it, a nursery bed, this bottle is enough for me to water in the white soil. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this one is enough to water the small nursery that can cover maybe 1,100 seeds. Okay for the seed. But once I'm putting the whole of the place down, calculate the amount of water you are using. If you are using labor, calculate how much are you going to pay the person. But if you carry this, oh my neighbor, oh your staff, please just water this one. You can just put it jokingly and just come back. Oh, water the whole of this land. The guy has to start bargaining with you. So you are having more, you are spending more cost. And even the time consuming to finish this thing is more compared to raising nursery. Then we'll say high cost on irrigation and fertilization. You can use one, I can call it grams. Fertilizer that you can be able to feed the nursery that can cover this, the whole of this environment, might not feel up to this. But if you are using a single, you have to put it different plant. What you put, half will be taken by air, the water will carry, the plant will carry their own, and some will leach. But when you are using nursery, all those things are, you have less cost to bear in terms of fertilization and the irrigation. The soil that you are used to water it, another cost. Now, when you are using bed, meaning that I'm talking about the nursery now. Hello? In making nursery, we have different types. We just make like a container or like a box. Then we'll put our planting media. Then we'll raise the nursery. Then we'll put seed by one after the other. Then there's another one we are using the same box, but what we use in that case is we make small spacing between each plant so that to reduce competition. That's why you can use something like egg tray. So you see there's a space between each hose. Once you make the hole like this, then you can be able to put your seed. When you are using this one, there's chances of overcrowding. So meaning that some of the seed at the edges of the bed, they'll be doing better because they have enough ventilation. The one in the center, they will suffer it. And if there's no rain or you do not water it, the one in the center might enjoy it, but the one at the side, because of too much ventilation, they will dry up. So all of those, and you can't determine the exact spacing between the seed. Then there's a lot of overcrowding. Then when you use the sunken bed, locally enough, if it's rainy season, God will decide to bless us with plenty water. Even as some of your seed have to be submerged there, and the chances is high of risk of losing all of them. I hope it's not close to the river. Overflowing. At the end of the day, you say, oh, now wow, my seed have gone down. So please, all of them, they have disadvantage and advantage. So these ones are a little better, but If you raise your seed using tray, crate, is much better because you already have the spacing designated per each seed. You can be able to calculate how many seeds germinate, how many fail to germinate because of that. But if you put the seed, jump back there, you don't know how many seeds you put, you cannot be able to be assured, okay, how many have germinated, how many have not germinated. Then you can put in the conventional way where you have a large area. So this is the nursery tray, or some people call it crate. The distance between each is enough for all the nursery plants that can be able to grow effectively based on the time that you give them, or based on the time they need to be in the nursery. Now we say the container tray, we have pots like this one. You can have a nylon that you can be able to put a single, then but it take also a space. Yes, somebody have small nylon. Thank you. So most of this one you can put it inside the nylon. It is same thing with this, but the space taken is varies. The media that is supposed to put here and this varies. I don't know what I understand. So all this need to create a space. Yeah. Can we be able to see these ones? If you look at the distance, it's a nursery shade that have been arranged levelly. Now, once you are putting your tray, you have to be very careful. Some people, they will put either a wood or whatever. You see the nursery tray is like this. After you put it. Hello? Now, once your nursery tray, that after you align it, on the ground, it falls like this. Once you are irrigating, the high tendency of the water will converge here. If you do not come early to water it, this one will be enjoying, but this one will be drying. When you irrigate regularly, well, this one will be enjoying. So meaning that their uniformity have been affected, and they might not be born the same day. Hello? So please, even their development might vary. So please make sure the place should be what? Relatively leveled, flat, so that you can be able to have the uniform germination as we are talking about. If you see this nursery, I wish you have more projection. You can see them as if you born there at the same minute. Yep. Now, two beds that we have shown, they have two differences. When you use what do you call it? Something like a box, you put the media, and you use the tray. There are still also another remarkable differences. Once you are removing from that media, or you use the ground, you make the bed on the ground, you are removing it. Imagine, see how the length of the roots, many of them have been damaged because you have to dig it out and bring it. Hello? My people in the north, what they do after this, they have to wash it. Now, if you transplant this, once you are transplanting, you have to press it down. Then many of the root will be damaged or breaks. At the end of the day, the plant will suffer transplanting shock. At times, many of them will die off because of the root. In fact, based on the research, any root that has been blown by air for 1 minute, that root does not, and it doesn't continue existing. It dies off. Hello? I don't know what I understand. Any root that has been exposed by air, a minute or less than a minute, once the air blows it, that root doesn't continue growth. All it did, it dies, another one will come up. So that's why you see, before the plant continue growing, it takes time, because another root dies, another one comes up. So you see that at that moment, after you transplant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the growth is stagnant. And if there's any fluctuation in the moisture or whatever, or any physical damage, the seedling will just die off. But when you are using the tray, imagine the roots here are intact. All the roots are inside. Few ones, they are the one outside. Now, when you use the media, don't use soil. Once you carry soil and feed in here, yes, it will grow. It will germinate, but it will have the stunted growth. The funniest part of it is, when you are transplanting, the soil will stick to this place. It gone it. In fact, you have to clear the tray before you remove them. Otherwise, you have to cross the soil, you are going back to the next person. Hello? But there's a special soil that will make it. It will not stick to here, and it will not clog. Neither it will not make your plant to be stunted, which is called potting soil. I guess I will discuss with you later. Now, the root that are here, once you remove it, it will take all the root. In fact, I can tell you, 80% of the root, none of them will be affected. Then, you might see a few roots outside, but 60 to 70% of the root are inside there. Nothing affects them. Immediately you open your ground and plant or transplant. They are not being exposed to air. What did you expect? Continue to grow. So this man that did use this and this, you look at the plant will continue growing. Maybe just like me, I say, Mr. Mu, just shift. Nothing wrong now. Just shift. That's how some of the plant is. Just as if you shift them, shift down, no, sit down comfortably. That's what you are telling them. That means you are doing the transplanting. So they will not suffer much transplanting shock. In fact, I don't want to say there's no transplanting shock because I don't know where you are taking them to. But it's very less compared to those other practices. Then you have to be very careful. There are some seedlings are very fragile, like cucumber. I don't forget what I learned to do. That Yoruba pumpkin. I wanted to use Yoruba name now. Elegede. Please, if you are transplanting elegede, be very careful. They have a hole inside. Hello? Once you press it small, the hole say boop. They don't die. Forget about they will survive, you put the soil on by their side. Provided that place has been broken, meaning that the movement of the fluid and water, whatever, it has been broken and it cannot. The way you are transplanting pepper is different from the way you are transplanting cucumber and elegede. Do we understand that? So some of them are fragile. You have to be very careful in doing that. And don't damage their root system. Then some of them will still call them squash transplant from tree. Yes, it's possible you can do the nursery for squash. That means pumpkin, elegede, and whatever. Sometimes you can be able to raise nursery. But you have to be very careful when transplanting it. Yeah. Now, I have started talking about the soil or the media that you use in growing plants. I told you some of the danger that we have with soil. It can get kept. It has something like gummy nature which is can clog to your seedling trees. And there's no assurance of the nutrient that you have in the soil. In fact, most of the soil that we have, they may have 1 or 2 soil-borne diseases, which you cannot be able to see with their physical eyes. And most of us, we experts or we are far, we cannot be able to see and tell you. So that's why to be safe, we have developed some media. Or there's other media you can use in raising nursery. One of them is called potting soil. Second one is cocoa peat. Then the next one is sawdust. Another one we call local mist. And others, we say what? Rock wool. We also have perlite. Then we also have vermiculite. All those things are media. But many of them, they have advantages and disadvantages. Yes, when you use potting soil, specifically the one that you are getting from Solokad, we are the one supplying to it. Supplying him, we call it what? Afri Agri Premium Potting Soil. I saw one back at the back there. Oh, see it here. The back looks like this. Yes. This is the premium potting soil. It's very light. It's porous. In fact, it has fertilizer inside. The one that can be able to sustain your nursery through transplanting. You don't need to add anything to it. And it's disease-free. You don't need to have that soil bodies or all the challenges that we have. So you are free to eat. Once you transplant and you have your good nursery, all you need to do, come and water them regularly or at the right time. I don't want to do morning and evening because I have an experience in Kano. We were there, we asked one guy, he just bought this everything. I said, okay, please tell your person to irrigate. He said, when? I said, preferable maybe morning and evening. But observation is the best. The guy will go early morning, before he go out, he will just water. In the evening, immediately around 4 or 5 or around 6, you come and water. Have you watered? Yes, I have done it, Oga. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not knowing there's a fateful day, the rain cover everywhere and the humidity is high and the plants are still wet in the morning and evening. And the guys who have to fulfill all righteousness, you have to water them. And we are there. Hey, yes, they're getting it. After 3-5 days, oh, the plants are dying. What happened? You don't put anything. No, say what I've been giving them. When we check, you see water is flooding. Algae are covered everywhere. So please, in irrigation, observation is the best. If you go there, you see the plant are still doing well and nourished. It doesn't mean you must irrigate them in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Hello, my sister. I hope you understand that. So please, observation. When you observe the plant, yes, they don't need water in the morning. Please don't irrigate. Leave it in the afternoon. Or let me say around 4 to 5. If you go there, you see the plant, the media is still wet. Please don't irrigate. Leave it to tomorrow. It's better, eh? That's my suggestion. Now, when you use the potting soil, you don't have any problems. I just allow some of the advantages that you can benefit from the potting soil. The only disadvantage, if you say they are 2 or 3, 1, they may be expensive. At the point of your own view, hello, in my own points are very cheap, but in your own points may be expensive. Do you know the reason? If I look at what you are stand to get, is very cheap. Put the soil. Put inside the soil all the other material, at the end you lost all the seeds. They do not grow, they are constant. You have buy the seed 100,000 and then you are spending everything lost. You buy the potting soil just around maybe 9,000 at the end of the day, you get all your crops doing well. Which one is cheaper? Hello? If you like say you are not calculating with me. You buy 1,000 seed at the rate of 5,000, you lost everything because you use from media. And you buy the seed of 5,000, you buy potting soil of maybe I say 6,000 or 7,000, you put it together, you spend 15,000. This one that you lost everything, and this one that you get something, which one is expensive? The one that you get something, the one that you lost everything is the most expensive because you have lost the time. You cannot be able to get what you are looking for. In fact, the whole of the year you can even lost. You do not talk about the labor. So it be expensive at your point of view. But at the point of my view, it's very expensive. So maybe the cost, there must be a cost in between. So let us just leave the argument there. Then the next one we said, I'm talking about the disadvantage. Yes, when you open the bags, yeah.
This is, we have opened already as a sample, just to show that just now. So we have.
You working?
Yeah. Okay. So we've opened this because we will use it for the sewing demonstration after this theoretical. That's why we have opened it not fully. We will use this and we just roll it around it. And then it is ready to be reused again. Easy to transport, and then it doesn't dry out, and then ready to use again. No insects can get in.
So,
If it dries out, it's over.
please, in general, once you use it, you have the remaining. Please, keep it airtight and retie it back. Hello? Please don't carry it and put it inside sun. The sun will be hitting it 2 days, 5 days. After 1 week, you say you come back, you want to use it. The sun must have dry it up inside, so it cannot be able to be viable the way you want it to be. But it doesn't have expiring date, provided you keep them dead. Once you keep it inside in your locker, maybe keep it inside your, what do you call it, stove, nothing tamper with it. It doesn't have expiring date. Do you know the reason? It's an organic material been decomposed. So I don't think a dead person can still die again. Hello? So it's already decomposed. It's died plant material and decomposed. So they cannot expire again unless you do not keep them safe. So it can be in 40 liters and can be also in 7 liters. Oh, yes. If you are using the 40 liters, provided you are using this kind of tray, it can be able to, this one can fit at least 10 trays. That means each tray here is 104 cells, meaning that you can be able to raise 1,040 seeds with one bag. He said? 4. Okay, that's for 40 liters. Do we understand? For 40 liters, you can raise the 10 of it. But if you are using this kind of tray like this, it gives you more than 10 because the space is smaller. Hello? And based on the experiment, people are getting 15 of it. Did we understand the differences? So please, depend on the tray, know the number of holes and what is the dimension. You can be able to get the exact quantity what it gives you. Yeah. The disadvantage with the other tray is, for instance, if you are keeping them peppers, pepper takes nothing less than 28 days before transplanting. The space will be very small for them, and the root development will be stacked, and they cannot be able to grow well. Do we understand? So any plant that takes up to 3 weeks and above, preferably you have a bigger hole that can give them more rooms to develop their roots. And in the general form, if you are examining the root development, the one that you grow this and the one that you grow the other one, you see the root development are two different things. So that's why some of them, they have a bigger hole, where you have some smaller hole, where some have a bigger hole. Yes, we also have the cocoa pit. This is a sample of the cocoa pit. The major difference between the cocoa pit and the potting soil there is the nutrition. Potting soil contains nutrients, but the cocoa pit doesn't have a nutrient, it has an inner material. But it has everything that allows your plant to grow. And whatever nutrient that you give, it allows it to get to your plant. Not like the other medias, like the sawdust, it takes some of the nutrients instead of allowing to the plant. So meaning that the person that is using the potting cocoa pit, you have to be supplying nutrients to the plant for them to keep them alive and grow to transplanting. But those who are using the potting soil, it's only water that you need to get. So these are the difference of the two. Now, the cocoa pit that you see, forget it's a block. Once you put water, it turns to the soil, just like the potting soil. Within the space of 15 to 30 minutes, it dissolves, it becomes a... You said? Yes, no. Now, the effect of combining the two of them is you can combine them, but let me tell you the issue. It's just like you that you carry your sugar and put it inside your tea. Very okay for you. Then one of your child or your wife carry another cup of water and put it. Can you feel the sense of that sugar again? So when you mix the two of them, the nutrient of this one you have what? Reduce it to the minimum, it might not give you what you want. So the best way, if you want to get the best result, use them differently. And peradventure, you have reduced the nutrition. Then you want to go out, let me say, okay, I reduce the nutrition, I have cut the cost. Then in the case of applying fertilizer, you put too much fertilizer, you kill the whole plant. Who lost? They call it 2-0. Somebody say what? All zero. There is a difference between 2-0 and all zero. I hope you know that. So please, so because of that, it's better to use them different. Then, in my local knowledge or my experience, those people who are starting the production at the beginning, I recommend to use the potting soil. You can easily handle it compared to the cocoa pit. Why do we bring the potting soil is some of the application of the fertilizer, many people are getting it wrong. So that's why we bring in the potting soil. You don't need it already made. All you need to do, ready for use. So this one you have to add the nutrition. But any other details you can be able to see, and then we say what? It's our excellent water aeration and also water retention. We have natural high air porosity, meaning there's a lot of space where the air can be in circulation. Sorry. Then absorb water easily, meaning that it can be able to retain and also absorb water for use. Then 100% organic and stable materials. Then some of these, somebody can say, oh, the disadvantage maybe it can be the cost. But most of them is in 5 blocks. So these 5 blocks, 5 kg, that 5 kg can be able to give you nothing less than 13 trays. Yes. 1 block of it, once you dissolve it with water or you soak it with water, it gives you nothing less than 13 of this. Yes. We understand it. So that's how the bottle is. Yes. Now, in the practical aspect, it will show you how you can be able to soak the water and the cocoa pit and how to make use of it and turn it to the soil that we are expecting of you to use. Then we say blocked should never be dipped into water, but irrigate by dipping, by dropping. Meaning, instead of you carry a ball, what do you call it? A container that let me say maybe have your water, you dip it inside. Once you put it, there's a lot of air inside it. So once you put it, you just combine everything. At the end of the day, there's no proper erosion for it. And the rate at which it absorbs the water, you have what altered it. But preferably, you'll be putting the water gradually. As you are putting the water, it just be taking it. So it gives you proper expansion and it absorbs the water. Now, once you dip it, there are possibility the water will be too much for it, because you just carry the quantity of water you put it. But once you are the one putting the water, once you see the moisture is enough for you, then you can stop it. So you can be able to regulation on the water that you are using at the moment. So I think these are the major differences. But when you doing the practical, you see, yeah, I think the battery is now. Yes. Now, there are some other material I've listed. We have the sawdust. Now, most of the sawdust will say what? Locally used grown media, often mixed with soil and manure. Now, the ratio of sawdust and manure sometimes we assume not to be accurate. Now, once you are using the sawdust, advantage of it is what locally available. You can turn around and get it. They're also cheap. By the way, sometimes there's people who are doing it and say, come and pack. That one is ready. But it has a lot of risks or disadvantages. You say what? Need fertilizer application. Meaning that you have to apply the fertilizer to sustain the nutrient. If it's not decomposed. Then even the decomposition, the least ever I have my experience is if you are using sawdust, you have to decompose it for 6 months. Otherwise, if you grow nursery with it, if it is not decomposed, it will not allow the plant to take your nutrient. That's why the pH also changes. As it's decomposing, the pH is going lower or is going higher because the decomposition takes time. Then we also say what? The composition of sawdust takes up nitrogen. Meaning that before it decays, it turns to the normal soil. There are some microorganisms that helps in doing that. Then the microorganisms, what they do is they use nitrogen and in their fertilizer to decompose it. So meaning that when you apply nitrogen to your own plant, and this one is decomposing, what do you expect? These sawdust will be taking the nitrogen to themselves and depriving the plant. So meaning that no matter the amount of nitrogen you put to your plant, you will not see the nitrogen coming. Then you see that what most of the nursery have become pale green or light green. Sometimes they will purely green because the nitrogen is there. Forget about you are putting the fertilizers. Forget about you are using the bonus, because all the nitrogen will be taken by the organism to decompose that material. So that's why most of the nursery who are doing sawdust, you see that they are not developing, they have retarded growth or stunted, a lot of challenges with that. Then the risk of what? Pests and diseases. You don't know where they pack the wood. Maybe the soil have the what? Soil-borne diseases. Then you pack them and come and bring it to your farm. So you are the ones bringing the risk. So a pest can be, because there are some eggs of the microorganism, some the pathogen can be inside the sawdust and it can be compacted or they cannot be able to be cured. Then we have also local mix. The local mix, generally we mix them of the local soil and sand, rice, ox, manure. So all of them, they have the same effect. The rye husk also take up to 6 months. In fact, if there's no mulch, the rye husk takes 1 year before it decomposes. So forget the fact that just mix it with other manure. Yes, the nutrients in that manure, the rice husk or bacteria that decompose it, they will take it. They will not allow their plant. If the rye husk is new, it doesn't allow the water to percolate because it doesn't have aeration. You put the water, you see the water just standing. So a lot of things, some people have challenges. If the rye husk is very rough, then you see it will not retain the water will just go down. So these are some of the challenges that we have. Then we'll say what? It's locally cheap and available everywhere. So these are some of the challenges. Also the pH decreases. Then the risk of what? Pests and diseases transfer from the nursery also very possible. Now, we have discussed the seed, the media. We want to know what is nursery now. Hello? Can somebody help us? What is a nursery? Yes. Yes, Daddy. Can you put it on?
Nursery is a band made by the farmer after the clearing of the weeds on the ground. So, in preparation for this nursery is a seed for planting.
Thank you. He said it's just a farm. When you are preparing, you just arrange it, farmer clear it once you want to do the total production. So that area that he gathered, you just preserve it, that is a nursery. Do we have any contrary view or somebody have another point of view? Yes, our sister wants to help us. Based on your own experience or based on what you know about the nursery?
I think nursery is nurturing seedlings for preparation of nurturing of seedlings.
She says the nursery is a word, preparation of what? Seedlings. Do we know the word seedlings? Seedlings. Good. When we are talking about the difference between seed and seedlings. Seed is the grain that we are planting for the propagation of the plant. Then the seedlings are the young plant. So what Auntie said, that place where we are taking care of the young plant is nursery. I think I will generally accept it. When a mommy yes. When you get a baby from the home, I don't know Yoruba tradition, but in our own tradition, if a woman gives birth to a child, she will never carry that child out till after 1 week. Do you know the reason? More than that, but somebody said 40 days. Locally, they believe that, the womb has a different temperature. The child is used to the womb temperature. When you carry the child to outside, the temperature is too obvious for the child to adopt and survive. So you have to keep the child inside the room. In fact, if you check where they are keeping the child, they will use napkin, they will use pillow, they will use whatever, cover the child. Gradually, as the child is developing, they are adjusting that. The same thing with the nursery. These are young plants that you take care of them when they are young. Then you give them that kind of condition that they cannot be exposed to the vagary weather. At all the environmental changes, you just give them at once. So these are the places we are taking care of them until when they mature. There is some age or stage where we can transplant them. Yes, so this is just the rough idea. I say what? An area for raising seedlings, meaning young plant, until they are ready for transplanting, meaning that they are reached the age. In that case, maybe when the children are reaching up, the child is up to 42 days, the mother starts going out. In our own, when they are reaching to 8 days, 9 days, then they can be able to see sun and whatever. So they adopt to that. Yes, advantages of nurseries. So let me work with the time. Otherwise, I will ask us to tell us what we know. But one of the advantages we say what? Provide favorable growth condition. That is germination as well as growth. Meaning that nursery that you are taking care of, you must give what, let me say, environment where that seed can germinate. What are the conditions for germination? It must provide for that seedlings. After it germinates not enough, it must give what? That kind of environment the plant can survive onto what? Transplanting. Then, once you can be able to get that, we say what? Better care for young plant. You can easily dash and see what they are doing, but if you put them direct on the soil, you can only see two, three plants. You cannot see the end of the 1 hectare. Before you go to the whole of the hectare, you are even tired. So, but if they are close to you, you can observe them and give them what necessary. If there is any observation, you can do that as much as possible. Then we'll say what? Easier to monitor and see if there's any infestation or there's pest and diseases what come up, and even to weed control and pathogen, all those things you can be able to do in the nursery. Then nursery helps in making more efficient use of the land. Instead of using the whole land, small area can be able to raise the nursery that can cover more than 1 hectare of land. Then helps improve crops uniformity in the field. Because you are giving them the same treatment, everything you are controlled, and the condition is okay for them. The rate of their growth is faster. Now, disadvantages. One of the disadvantages will increase the cost of production. Solokad, yes, if you want to succeed, you must buy seedling tray. Yes, it's additional for true of us. Do you understand? You must buy the media, yes, additional cost. But I mentioned one thing, I say better soup na money, kill am. So you have to spend before you get it. Then we'll say what? You need extra level in establishing nursery before transplanting. At least you have to take care of that particular place. It's also additional cost, additional level, but you are going towards a success. Then, what are the types of nursery? We have different types of nursery. Please, because of the time, I still want to go further. Then one of them will say what? Open field nursery, meaning that we have seen different beds. In the other slide when I was explaining, you make your bed, raise them and allow direct sun or what, direct vagary or weather to stand on them. Then we have seed bed where you got a small container or a bathroom, let me say a box where you raise them. Some they use the ground to also raise them. Then we have the container, which is this one. I already tell us. Then we also have a small pot where you can put them, or boxes. It also nursery. All this one we can expose them to direct air, meaning that they don't have any protection from the weather. But we also have another one we call what? Indoor. Indoor meaning that you can just make a shelter where they can be able to protect them against the difficult weather that you think they cannot be able to accept them. One of them we say what? You mostly in that one we use a seed bed. You arrange your wood or you arrange the iron where you can need to put the nursery. Then we also have the container. These are the seedling things. You can arrange them. So those ones that you grow indoor, you can be able to, if the sun is too much, you can use shade net. The sun will not be too much on them. You can use a waterproof, then the solar radiation will not be direct on them. And also the ventilation will not be too much. In fact, you put the net around it, then insects cannot be able to access them. So the doors better done. Then we say we have table, we have air container, I'll explain this. Size of the nursery. Then you have to look at what size of the nursery do you have, and what of the size of the land first. Second, you come back to the nursery. If you have a hectare is 10 by 100 by 100 meters. Somebody say 10,000 square meters. Then if you want to raise the nursery or you want to remove the site for the nursery, you should take 10% of it. Hello? 10% of what? 10,000 is enough for your nursery. Do we understand? So 10% of the total area is enough for your nursery. Then you can put it. And we say that's the size. Then we say what? Of cycle year, meaning you can put the nursery year after year, you can be using it and then taking care of your plant. Then we say up to 10% cultivation area. Then the location of the nursery. We advise First, if you are choosing the site where the nursery should be, it can be easily accessible, meaning that you can easily go and check your plant. Either there's road or there's not only obstacle that can prevent you or can hinder you from going to see your plant. Then we'll say what? Close to permanent source of clean water for irrigation. Because that man that you're asking to go and irrigate, you carry one bucket, go and irrigate if the place is far. Carry 2 buckets. The guy, when he's tired, if you're using one bucket for one bed, by the end of the irrigation, maybe one bucket can cover 3 beds. Have you irrigated? Yes, that's the answer. True or false? And the guy irrigated. The only thing we can tell, well, we don't know how well he irrigated. True or false? Provided you put the water, is it not irrigation? He irrigates. Snap the picture, he can show you there's moisture. But is that moisture adequate for the plant? That's the question I cannot answer. Now, preferably on flat land, I have mentioned it. Not to be slopey, not to be up and down or whatever. Then prevent erosion of soil and loss of soil nutrients. Meaning if you are using a bed on ground, make sure after or if there's any rain, we will not wash part of the soil and go away with it. Some of us, because we want to make it closer to get the water close to that river, now where we go put them? After you put the nursery, just coming up one big rain, flooding, carry the whole rain. You have to come back to Solokad. But no problem. Solokad market don't open now. You have to buy another seed. But I'm not praying for you, eh? So please, to prevent it, just get the right place where it cannot be eroded by water or by rain. Then we have what? Separate. It should be separated from the production area, at least 50 meters away. Why are we giving space? Because if there's any infestation, you should not spray quickly to that your nursery. Remember, they are young plants; they can be easily affected by pathogens. Then we say what? Avoid spread of diseases. Then requirement on ground nursery, meaning that if you want to do on the ground, you are not using nursery bed, seedling trays, whatever. Then the place should be well drained and fertile soil, meaning once it rains, at least after 1 hour or 2 hours, the rain will sink down or will go away, float away. Not that to be keeping the water to be waterlogged. That's the what? Well drained. Then the fertility of the soil can be able to support their plant for their development. Also free from soil-borne diseases, pests and nuisance weed. Meaning that you have to take care of the weed. You also prevent it. Make sure that there's no disease in that soil or environment. Avoid heavily shaded area. The nursery, if they are the first day that you open them, they are coming up, they need small intensity of light. Once they are still reaching 5-7 days after their growth, they need the light. So if the place is shaded, you see them, they will be communicating with you. But the only thing, if you are not observant, you cannot hear. Once you see all your nursery are pointing like this, their bending is not enough for them. That's the communication. Somebody say, my nursery I do miracle. I say, how? He said, when I put it in the morning, they stand. In the evening, they do like this. I said, no be miracle, oh. Now, son. Hello, we have a lot of online farmers. They will call, this is what happened, this is what happened. You hear a lot of language and grammar. So we need to understand. So once you see our sun, they have plant are bending, meaning the sun is not enough for them. So you can expose them to the more sun. But if you are doing a nursery where there's a lot of canopy of trees, nowhere, you cannot remove the whole nursery and take it away. So that's going to be a minus. So please, make sure that there's what? A lot of soil rays that they can be able to grow. Then we'll say possibility of what? To regulate shade. Meaning that the first, you can decide to the first week or second week, you can use the shade net. When you see that they are just getting tall, slim, they are competing each other, now you can reduce the shade. If you are, sometimes we use what do you call this palm front. Once you see that they are, most of them, they are bending left and right, reduce the intensity of the palm front. If you are using the shade net, then you see that they are growing leggy. You see them very slim. Then you also remove the, what do you call it, the shade net. Depend on the area. In the north, far north, we don't have problem. In the south, we have a cloudy weather 1 to 3 days. So a lot of them, they need to expose to the sun to get photosynthesis. Then we say must protect them, protect from all kind of what? Livestock and rodent. Lizard is inside, rat is inside. Bush squirrel, they are inside, so protect them from them. Then we are talking about the hygiene. Like human beings, they are living things based on their biology. So their hygiene is important. Entrance, hand and foot deep. Visitors should be avoided as much as possible. Because the more you move, there's one topic they told us in biology, I can't remember, they say how things get sprayed. Or in biology, health, they say, well, communicable disease. They can get something vector that moves them. So human beings are vector. If you allow visitor, they may match something, they may come to your nursery, and once they stop there, they can be able to transmit them. The material that you use in one place and the other, you can be able to infect your nursery. So avoid as much as possible. So the best thing is, even you have to wash your hands or dip your legs if you are entering. Is the proper hygiene. The way we are doing poultry, please do to your nursery. Not only poultry, they are dying. Then also the climate, that we're talking about the temperature. At the beginning, they need the temperature to be moderate, not too high. Then the humidity should be at least around 60% is okay. Then we also have what? Shading. The shading should be moderate where they can be able to give them the sun. Because that's what they use to get their food from the sun. Then the humidity, mostly some people, they close everywhere. Once there's no cross ventilation, the humidity tends to be high. Then the chances of their plant to be infected by fungal disease is higher. Then also they have fertilization. If you are using the potting soil, please, no issue for fertilizer. Just tell them bye-bye. Tell Solokad to meet after transplanting. But if you are using cocoa peat, please, you need to do that. When you are using on the ground, you need to buy your fertilizer. Then you have to know how to apply it. Otherwise, it will be all 0 or 1-0, I don't know. Then the macronutrients are very important, especially you are using the soil itself or sawdust. The sawdust does not contain any macronutrients. Iron, boron, copper, zinc, it doesn't contain those ones. So you need to supplement it when you are using any of this material. Then disease monitoring and control. The first person to monitor disease control is you. When you pray, you do the hygiene. That's the first step. The second step is observation. The plant, when you see their leaves are changing yellow, blue, whatever color that you are getting it, you have to what? Raise an alarm, know what to do. Otherwise, the disaster might come into being. Okay? Good. This also helps you to monitor the disease. All you need to do, you can stick it and hang it inside the greenhouse or the nursery house. In that nursery house, at least this is the bed. You can put it at least 30 meters or 10 centimeters since they are nursery above. So if there's any flying insect, it will stick to this. And you know some of the insects, they like color. We have 2 colors. Those plants that are more attracted to flowers, they like this one. Those plants, they are mostly attacking the leaves, green part, they like this one. In the peppers, trees like this one. Then most of these are white flowers and whatever, they like this one. So once they are to come to eat, it has a gum inside, then it gums them. This will help you to monitor. Now when you check, there's a small boxes. You check now, you see only 2 insects that stick to this. Please, you don't need to go and buy chemical from Ogasolo. No, besides the spoil your market. I just advise them so that to count cost. But when you check, they are up to 30 in your 1 square meter, please, better go and see Ogasolo, otherwise you lose the all. So even the control, the monitoring, this one can help you to monitor it. When to start to apply insecticide, when not to apply. The efficacy of that insecticide is also monitored by this. When you apply new chemicals, before you apply, remove the old one. Count them and keep it one side, don't throw it. After application of the insecticide, then check. Does the number of the insect or the population of insect reduced? If they have not reduced, meaning that chemical is not effective, please quote me well. I'm not saying Ogasolo is selling the fake chemical. 3 reasons can be. 1, the application, whether you do not apply them properly. 2, maybe the insect that you are applying them must develop resistance on that particular insecticide. Do we understand? Then the 3, maybe the dosage they are using is not up to what they demand. 4, I'll be the last one to tell you. Maybe the chemical is not effective, or the chemical, what do you call it? The active ingredients, they are not viable, or the potency have dropped, or they are expired. So these are the things. Don't accuse any dealer. You have to check all those things. Now, when you have that, you have to go back and interchange. Even the hospital, when they give you drug, Panadol, it doesn't work. Say, well, come back and change the routine. So once you see that challenge, you can change the insecticide. In fact, I know Ogasolo, Blessings has been my friend. If you buy 10 bottles and then you use 1 bottle, it doesn't work for you, you can come back to him, provided it do not damage. So no, this thing is not working for us. Can we change another one? Again, they can change it and then continue the business. So please, this is what can help you. Then we have the word predominant disease that can kill your whole tomato plant. We call it Tuta absoluta. In the northern part, we call it Sharon. You will like all of you go Sharon. You know Sharon, they pass, they run. So now, so that insect, that worm, can eat up your plant, the whole plant in less than 3 days if they have a high population. So this is what used to control it. So it also stick to it, and then you can be able to monitor it and destroy. To monitor the, what do you call it, the Tuta absoluta. So you can be able to help that one. So these are some of the monitoring. So meaning that what he's saying that this one can work for, it's not like human being. Me, I get tired though, especially in the night. But this one doesn't get tired. Many of the insects, they are more active in the night. So those that are active, they can be able to capture better in the night or in the day, depend on the time. Because sometimes we apply the insecticide. The insects are sleeping, now that time they apply. So you see the medication different with the infestation or the disease. Then we also talk about the germination. In the germination, we have what? Some conditions necessary for germination. Yes. Okay, I'll give you time. Then we say water, light, oxygen, temperature. They are necessary for germination. Then also plant propagation. We have the irrigation, we have the fertilizer, we have the pest control, and hardening off. Meaning that if you are using the nursery tray, when they are about to transplant, you need to harden them. Meaning that you have to what? Introduce something else. Introduce them to the new environment gradually, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before you finally tell them for transplanting. Then what the critical for a good transplant. First thing is the nursery, at least if it have what? 3 leaves. The leaves should be through 3 leaves. Meaning that after germination, there's what we call cotyledon. So after that cotyledon, you can count 1, 2, 3. Provided you get that 2, 3 leaves, that plant is almost ready already for transplanting. Different crops have different things. Now, if you do not take care of your own, before they get 3 leaves, maybe they take 5 weeks. So when my own, at 2 weeks, they can be transplanted. Like tomato, I can advise to transplant in 2 weeks when you use potting soil. But when you use sawdust, I bet you 1 month, you may be likely not to get it because they must be stunted. So once you get that age, you are good to go, but be careful. The well-developed root system plant, that's the one that you transplant, not all the plants. If there's any variation and there's no uniformity, you look at the one that are vigorous, they have developed roots. Then also those that have been disease-free. It's just like somebody who have not eaten. You ask him to run. What did you expect? So you carry the infected plant and transplant it. What do you expect? The thing will die. So please avoid that. I think we need to stop here. Maybe for the practical part of it. Oh, we have the special offer. Gabriel know much about marketing. Be like say you go, I'll go reach the bus stop here. Gabriel will tell us about that. Then after you finish the special offers for the sales, if you want some package, you can just get this attractive price. But for here only, not after we finish here, then you come back and disturb Solokad. Now that price I want, please, it might vary. So Gabriel will tell us more. Thank you for the time.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for Peter Johanna. I think that was a very, very great presentation from him. Well done, Peter. Well done. Yes, we can take question after I'm done, prior to going to the practical aspect of this. So we have some special offers based on what was discussed. The aim of Afri Agri product and Solokad is to ensure that you all raise a successful nursery, a successful seedling. So we have different offers, different category with special discounts, as you can see from here. We have an offer. The first offer is including 10 pieces of the seedling trays. Normally one goes for 550 naira. Then with a bag of potting soil, which goes for 7,600. Then we have a sachet of tomatoes, Sinactala tomato. A sachet of this particular tomato, which is 1,500 seeds. So that is 7.5. So it's 20,600, but you are getting a special discount because Afri Agri product is here today with Solokad. You are getting a special discount of 1,600 off the total price. So you can get everything at 19,000 naira. That's for this particular the first special offer. Then the second one is 13 seedling trays. This seedling trays with one cocoa pit and one sachet of a block of cocoa pits with one sachet of the tomatoes in Atala. Everything goes at 19,525. But because Afri Agri product is here today, you are getting it at 18,000 naira if you want to purchase it. Then we have the third offer, which is 10 pieces of seedling tray at 550 naira with one potting soil, which is 7,600. Then Macario cucumber seeds. It's a slicer cucumber. Many of you are very very familiar with Gringo and the rest of them. So it's that category of cucumber, the Macario. It's 100 seeds, but you are getting 5 sachets of it at this particular price. Then you are having this amount of 1,425 naira. It's a take home for 17.5 for all of them. That's the third category for the promo. Then you have the 10 seedling tray. Hello? So for the Macario, this is the 5 sachets of 100 seeds, which is 500 seeds. So this is the Macario cucumber we are talking about. You can please pass it around so that others can see. Then we have the PO405 tomato. This is also a very, very good tomato in the market. So it also has its own promo. I think this is the fourth category, then this is the last category. You have 10 seedling trays, 1 potting soil, and 1 sachet of the PO405 tomato. Everything goes for 20,300, but I think this discount is the highest. You are getting a discount of 4,300 just because Afri Agri is here today. That's 16,000 naira for this if you are getting the complete package. Then you also have it with the cocoa pit and 13 seedling trays, the PO405 tomato. That goes for 15,000 naira as against 19,225 naira. Yes, you can. So, yes.
Some offers not to refuse.
I think this is what the English people call mouth-watering offers. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody. We really want to appreciate every one of you for your patience and your timing. We don't intend to take much of the time. Yes, we don't intend to take much of the time. But we want to run the practical aspect of how to go about the cocoa pits, how to dissolve the cocoa pit, and how to fill up the trays, then introducing your seeds. So just give us a few minutes of the time to demonstrate that for you before we continue. So in the next few minutes, we'll be running up. We know you all have places to go to, you have farm activities to attend to. So, but please, bear with us. We'll be running up very soon. Please, if you have your questions, please, you have your writing material with you. Write your questions down. Please write your question on the paper. You have your writing material with you. Write your question on the paper, then pass it across to us. So we can actually do it very fast. Please write your questions on the paper there and pass it across. Thank you. Please put your questions down and pass it across to us. Your questions, just put them down and pass it across to us. So we'll be doing the practicals now. Thank you.
Hello. Hope we can all see this. Hello. Hope we can all see this. Yeah, this is a block of cocoa pit, and this particular cocoa pit is washed and buffered. That's why that's part of the reason we work with Solokad. You can get washed and buffered cocoa pit from Solokad. You might get a cocoa pit, it's washed, but it's not buffered. You might also get a cocoa pit that is not washed and buffered. It's two different things. If you use a cocoa pit that is not washed and buffered, if you use a cocoa pit that is not washed and buffered, the salt content is very, very high. You know, this comes from coconut. This is coconut fibers together. And naturally, when you look at the beach side, coconut grows in a saline area. So this has a lot of salt. So if you use it that way without being properly washed, buffered, and stabilized, you will have problem with your nursery. At that point, when you are giving, it's just like the osmosis process. Your plant will be losing water to the media. And you have plants that are shrinking. So I'll be taking you on how to dissolve this particular media and fill up a tray properly prior to sowing. So like my colleague said during his presentation, instead of putting this particular block inside a bowl of water, it's rather better you drip the water gently on it, or you put it under a running tap. So as the water enters the cocoa pit, you see it absorbs the water gradually and it swells. It takes in oxygen and it swells and it breaks down by itself. This is our tray we intend to use. Like we said, one block of this has an expansion volume of about 70 liters. So one block of this will fill 13 trays of this. But in this case, we are not dissolving all the blocks. It's just a kind of prototype to show you how to fill this. So we can show you how to use the potting soil while we dissolve the cocoa pit, because this is already ready to use. You don't have to dissolve it. It's already, you can see it. You can see the way he's filling the trays. This is a plant. This is a lettuce plant. This is a Lorosa lettuce. This is grown in potting soil. I think this plant is just about 3 weeks presently. So it was a kind of a challenge with myself and my boss. I did some of them in cocoa pits, and she did these ones in potting soil. We have a lot of them in Lagos, but we just brought this one and some others in the car. So I did mine in cocoa pit, and she did hers in potting soil. I was supplying fertilizer additionally. But I would say at the point in time, yeah, the performance of this one, because the nutrient is already there. Like he said during his presentation, with potting soil, you already have the nutrients. One of the mistakes with cocoa pit, you have to be a bit professional to know your fertilizer requirement of the crop. If not, you will not get it right. So this is a lettuce crop. You can pass it around among yourself. This is the Lorosa lettuce. Only water. There is no fertilizer in this. This is the potting soil. The tray filling process is still on. You can see the cocoa pit is coming loose gradually. Yeah, it is.
Please, if you have your questions, please pass it across. We have a few questions here already. Now, someone asked, why is it that during transplanting, some seedlings pull off from the media? Like we explained the other time, that if you're transplanting, when you remove your seedling using nursery tray, for instance, the media will go with the plant. Why is that sometimes the seedling will just pull off, the media will remain? That's a question.
Hello? Yes. There are two reasons. One, starting from the planting. There are some people, they will just make small holes and they will put the seed. And at times, some people, they will just put the seed on top of the media. They will not make a small hole. So once you put the seed, just like you drop it, you carry the media and just put it. So now, that seed will germinate. But it doesn't have the roots, the base that anchor the whole media. I don't know where I'm getting it. Basically, you see the seed is under the seed when you are planting on top of the media. So once you have that, you see that lots of the root, instead of then the root to be in the center and anchor it just be on top. So once you are carrying, there are high chances that you see the media remain inside the potting, the tray, and the seed just leave you with few roots in your hands. Do we understand that? Then the second part of it is when uprooting it. If you want to uproot it, we recommend that at least you water it 2 hours to 3 hours before transplanting. Meaning that you already water it and the water have gone down to some extent, then the place becomes very loose. So it's easier to carry it. But when the place already dry, the more you are struggling to remove it, then there's a little forces, then it can pull up and leave the media. I think these are the one of the two cases that are bringing that challenge.
Yes, thank you. Well, let me add to it. When you're using the planting tray, the seedling trays, and you're introducing your seed into it, it's advised the depth of your planting should at least go down a little, almost half of the tray. It should go, okay? Yes. No, it should go down a little, not get it to the high. No. It should go down a little, thereby the root system can be well established to bring out the media also with your plants. Thank you very much. Now, not too deep. If it's too deep, you are burying the seed. Take notes. If it's too deep, you are actually burying the seed most of the time. Like what he explained earlier when he was in his presentation, you might end up losing most of those seeds, or the germination will be delayed. Like I said, if you're not a patient person, you think it's not viable, right? You throw it away, at the end of the day, you find out it's still growing again.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so in the rule of the tongue, the size of the hole at least should be 2 times the size of the hole that you are making. Then to make it more uniform, we know, I don't know whether we know this cotton bud, the one they use tissue. So if you can be able to make the hole up to that where it covers the cotton bud, it's enough. You just make it small. The only thing you take your time. So once you make a depth that cotton bud has been covered, it's enough. The depth is enough so that you can put up your seed. After you put up your seed, then you can carry the media and cover the seed. Some they will just leave the seed like that. So that chances of it to come out is there.
All right, thank you. The next question is, what is the role of soil testing when using open field for nursery establishments?
Yeah, the role of soil testing, I think, is too big to overemphasize. One thing you can be able to know, you have the nutrition content in the soil. Most of the mistakes that some of our farmers are making, you'll be adding nitrogen when you have enough nitrogen in the soil because of ignorance. You'll be adding potassium when you have enough potassium in the soil. The salinity of that soil becomes too high. It's just that your beautiful wife, you carry all the food and meat, whatever you put it. After she finish cooking, then she put too much salt. You will not eat the food. Even the meat, you have to throw it away. Or you have to dodge away. No, I'm already eating outside. May I will eat my own later. You are dodging from your wife. So the same thing, when there is nutrient in the soil and you put excess, the plant will not take it. Do we understand? So once you do the soil analysis, it will tell you which fertilizer to apply and what quantity. This saves you from what? Ignorance and overusing the fertilizer or wasting the fertilizer and money. The second thing is, any soil testing that is recommended or that is good, it will give you the recommendation of which crop to plant. Once you give you the crop to plant, you can give your target amount of fertilizer you need to apply. Then in the soil also there are co-pathogens. Some are beneficial, some are harmful. So you can be able to know which kind of pathogen inside the soil, and that pathogen, can they be able to affect your future crop? Then the soil analyst can be able to tell you, oh, don't put this crop because there are so disease. We have a lot of cases bacterial wilt. I'm sorry to say, if you have a bacterial wilt, there's no remedy and there's no solution. Unless you terminate the crop and get another resistant variety. Otherwise, there's no chemical that proven to work. I'm a field person. So your plant and the bacterial will not affect your plant until your plant about to start flowering. They started maybe, sometimes even started harvesting. You see 1 die, 2 die, 3 dies. That's how they continue. So all these things from the soil analysis can even to tell you, okay, these are the kind of pathogen, these are the kind of crops they want, and you should avoid them. So I think these are some of the final part of the thing that I can tell you about the soil analysis.
Thank you.
Yes, the soil analysis is supposed to come with the recommendation. Which crop and how many, all these nutrients that you needed. So it's a lot of coming there, tell you which crop and when to produce those crops. So there's a lot of information about the soil fertility in the analysis when you do the analysis. I think it's very important.
All right, thank you.
This question, we have a whole booklet with us so that we can have some literature that we can show to the person that asked this question.
Oh, okay.
So you can meet us to share
the
more
person
information
that
on the
asked that question could actually meet them after the program to get more details about that. Now the next question is, if I want to buy only tomato, from the analysis he did, is there any promo on the tomato alone?
Yes, no. There are some varieties. If you are buying by 2, we can give you a promo. Buy 1 and get 1 free. But if you are buying any one of them that is not included as a pack, you might not likely to get the promo. So there's no promo if you are not buying as a pack. But if you are buying Batul as a variety, we have that promo right here from the office. So you are good to go to get that one. Yes.
All right. The next question says, can the sticky trap be used in an open field environment?
Yes, you can use it, but you have to monitor. The only thing prevalent that we have in the far north is breeze. Breeze will be what? Flinging it, and some of them they can cut it. So you have to know once you hang it properly. And in the south, we don't have that too much wind. So you can be able to use it effectively. Then you have to also increase the number of the plate that you're supposed to use per field so that to cover up. You are good to go, you can use that.
The next question is, can tomato be planted during summer period? July, other months?
Yes, you can plant the tomato, but we have different varieties. When do you want to plant it? Just ask us or let us know. So we can recommend you which variety is suitable in the rainy season, in the dry season, so that we can be able to guide you which variety is much better for you. Yeah, so there's a lot of variety can do that.
Yeah, the next question is, can the potting soil be used for open pollination? Why plant cucumber without nursery? I didn't get that question. I guess the person is asking if you can actually use potting soil to plant open pollinated seed.
Yes.
The OPVC.
Yes, all of them you can plant them with the potting soil. There's no problem. The only thing, if you plant the under indoor, meaning that you have to harden them. Once they are about to transplant, you take them water. At least the first day you give them 2 hours to receive the sun, direct sun. The second day you give them 3 to 4 hours. Then the last day, which is the day 3, day 5, then in the day 3 you can give them up to 5 hours. So once they are subjected to that, then you minimize the water. You are good to go. So even whether you use the potting soil, you use the cocoa pea, you are good to go. You can raise it.
Yeah. The question is why plant cucumber without nursery? I guess person is trying to know that is raising nursery for cucumber, is it really better or more advisable than planting it directly?
Yeah. When you are planting cucumber direct, the chances of that is if you have cricket along there your farm. Okay, good. So, but the reason there is there's a lot of things. While we are judging, we are still jumping, we are meeting it. Because while we are using the potting soil, we are trying to dodge away soil-borne diseases. So when you dig the soil and put the potting soil there, you are still going back because that disease can be communicated through the potting soil and affect your nursery. So it's not advisable to put in a soil. But otherwise, you can use you can use a box, something like box or tear and nylon. Put them so you can raise the nursery, there's no problem. But there must be a demarcation from the direct soil to the media. So that's what I
Is the cucumber marketed here self-pollinated?
Sorry?
Yes, all the cucumber that we are selling is self-pollinated. They don't need another variety to pollinate them. There are some variety you have to come and get another variety to pollinate. No. Yeah, so this one they can self-pollinate it without problem with that.
Now, how can we differentiate between buffered and unbuffered cocoa peats? Mere looking at it.
Now, by mere looking at it, it's very difficult to know the buffered and unbuffered. But mostly, we normally tend to look at the block size. Some they come in a loose form. When they come in a loose form and packed form, there are high possibility they have not been buffered. So at that time, you have the risk of high sodium ion. So that sodium ion displays potassium ion. So at the end of the day, in your own nursery, you see the plants are lacking a lot of potassium because the sodium have already displayed them. So that's why you have a lot of that chance. But they're very difficult to see and say it's not buffered. That's just it. But I advise you, go to the reliable source where you are sure that you can get that one.
And the next question is, what is the appropriate time?
Is it the same question? Yes, sir.
About 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeter deep, more than enough for both seeds. Normally, you throw the seed as deep as the seed is big. So you make it as deep as the seed is,
So what happens there is we have all those information. Like if we are communicating with you, before we sell it, we can tell you the analysis of the cocoa peat we are selling. So the only difficulty is I cannot carry block and put the sticker on it. So sometimes it becomes very difficult. If I did you something that you are packaging a bag, like fertilizer, like seed, you can just get the sticker, all the information you can start to it. So it comes like a, you know, this crate. That's how it comes. So sometimes just when we come here, it's very difficult to do. But once we are getting from Solokad, you know the source where he's getting it. But if you want to know from us, just communicate to us either online or whatever. We can tell you the analysis. You can be able to get it. So that one is the information is readily available.
Yeah. Please. The next question is: what is the appropriate time to introduce DI Grow Green and Red to tomato plants?
DI
Grow Green and Red to tomato plants.
Red tomato.
When is the appropriate time to introduce DI Grow Green and DI Grow Red to tomato plants?
So, DI Green is a fertilizer. Mostly it contains micronutrients. Are we together? Now, those micronutrients, we have to ascertain what is their quantity and the active ingredient, or let me say the ions or the calcium inside it. So mostly the DI grow we normally use as foliar. Hello? So mostly they are using as foliar. So foliar, they contain very minute nutrients. Many of them you see 0 point something grammage, and when you look at the percentage of it, it's very minute. So sometimes you can apply them from nursery, but I'm not sure of exact certification of that nutrient inside, because sometimes we have the claims. Somebody will say, oh, I have 10% of it, but when you do the analysis, it's not. So I can't tell you reliably, but provided you can be able to have that, maybe we can give you the recommendation. From the fertilizer recommendation that we give you, you know what quantity and when to apply those ones. Then the difference between the Agri and then the green is just what iron. Most of the potassium we normally give them when they are started flowering. But most of the nitrogen and phosphorus we give to the plant when they are young, for root development and vegetative. But immediately they started flower, we give them more potassium. So that's the only thing I can be able to differentiate of the two of them.
All right, thank you. How do we pocket early blight in tomato plants?
How do we
Pocket.
How do we stop early blight?
Yes.
First thing is prevention. The first information or the first thing that you need to stop it, you need to give enough ventilation. Second, you have to work with your spacing. Don't use too much density population where the plant be overcrowded. So once you can have the good spacing, you have the ventilation across, you have the less chances, because that early blight mostly caused by bacteria. So once bacteria, there's a lot of high humidity, the chances of bacteria or fungal disease is becoming high. So having that, you can do the preventives before it comes. So it's easier and better.
When you do a preventive spray, use a systemic chemical because that lasts longer.
So if you are using the preventive, it's advisable to select the systemic that's contact. So use the systemic enter into the tissue of the plant, so it stays longer. Sometimes we normally use this thing, stimulant, something like soap, so that to make them more stick to the plant. So mix it together, it's much better. Like sometimes we use this neem oil. Neem oil also help it to stick to the plant. Then there are some soap. Then we can also mix it when we apply, so it makes it enter the plant better. So systemic are the more recommended and advisable.
Yes, someone asked a question again. How long can I keep unused wet cocoa peats for another nursery of seed?
You have to write the variety and then identify there's a key one in everyone's bank of the explanation of what to put on.
Yeah, what we are saying is this is an, let me say, a plaque. We use it so that to be able to indicate which crop and which variety do you use. Sometimes you have lost the plaque. Oh, I don't know, is it the cucumber, is it the market, is it the macero, is it the tomato paste or last? You can even put it, your children will just turn it straight. You don't know the direction. So, but when you use this one, they can be able to help you, the date that you planted, the variety that you planted, and it can be able to give you the information. So that's the importance of this one. There's a free one we give. So at least in your nursery, you can be able to use it and indicate what you have as your nursery. This is just a gift. We don't have it as stock selling. Sorry.
Do you think it's a commercial thing? Do people be interested?
Someone asked. Okay.
Yeah, I can sell pack 16 tray, but there's no promo. No special offer. The man in the market, you can answer. Yes.
How long can I keep unused wet cocoa peat?
Oh, maybe you overuse it. You carry one block, thinking that only 1,000 seed I have, and this one can cover 1,500. Then the remaining one, how long will you keep it? That's the question. I don't know how long it will take to dry. So the best option is you can spray them, but spray them where they cannot be contaminated. No, this one. Okay, the unused one is still, yeah, dry them. So once you dry, after you dry, then carry. I prepare the polythene, waterproof. Get the nylon, put it and tie it. As long as it has to be dry, otherwise you keep moldy and then the fungi will grow inside. Is it?
We have this seed trade, but we have interest in going up with your potted soil. Can you give us discount on that alone? I need about 5 today.
Okay, 5 bags of potted soil.
Okay, let's say other farmers there too need, but we have this trade in our farm. Can you give us discount on that alone and not?
So that's the promo of the day.
So the promo of the day specified on this pack. So I don't want to have crisis with the account. The difference is not much. Just close your eyes. You benefit more. So no further.
When you reuse a seedling tray, then there's also infection chances. So consider that you use a new seedling tray also, because it will give you a better result.
So yes.
Let's say the last question, so we can round up this section.
Yes.
Someone asked, what is the better way of marketing matured cucumber? Do you have any answer to that?
Yes, the best time for marketing cucumber depends on which types. We have a mini cucumber, we have the English or slicing cucumbers. Are we together? Now, for the mini cucumbers, if you are keeping the frequency of harvest after 2 days, is the most preferable time. The taste is much better. Now, if you are using the English cucumber, there are also different varieties. Now, once your varieties, like the macero that we have, it has something like stonks on the fruit. Once it's small, it's not matured for harvesting, you see the stonks have become more obvious. But the more it's developed and getting bigger, you see the stonks are no longer there. That's the best time to harvest them. So once you can be able to harvest them, depend on that what you grow. So most of the market will advise people to harvest it after 4 days to 5 days. But mini cucumber, after every 2 days, is recommended to harvest it and take it to the market. But I don't know what are you talking about, the best marketing. Oh. Yes. 13. Yes. It's possible. This one is only, let me say, 4 centimeter dimension wide. Then the other one, 128 and 200, is just about 2. The diameter is about 2 meters. So you know that this one consumes more, where the other one consumes less. Then secondly, how you are applying the water. Now this one has the ability to take nothing less than 15 to 20 liters of water. The person that applies 15 liters of water, the volume will be less. The person applies 20 liters of water, the volume will be high. So at the end of the day, you see the number of trays varies.
This is just it. This is 128.
Yes, thank you. This is 200.
This is 120.
Do you see the size are increasing from this one? So this one is the biggest. So followed by this one, so that's how the size is. So that's why the variation are only specifically talking about the biggest one. But other ones I cannot be able to tell you exactly, depending on those conditions.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right.
So what we are saying there is, the more you use a smaller tray, then you have to transplant earlier than what is expected, because there's no root development in that. And once the root will not develop in smaller trays, like 200 cell, 128, I think there are some are even 92 or thereabout. Also they are smaller. But those plants that you need a good plant root development, you have to use 104. I think that's the biggest for the market now. So you give more root development, and even the size of the plant, you see they are more vigorous than those ones they have been kept. And if you keep them at the same time, you see the other one becomes stunted because the roots are no longer increasing in size, while this one is still continue growing. So I think these are the major difference. I will choose this one to have more root development, so that when you transplant, they can easily adopt small root development system.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, that will be all for now.
So
thank you very much for your time. Let's a round of applause for them, please. They've really done